Strap in, everyone. You're going to want to sit down. You're not going to believe what I have to say about the Marvels. If you're a sensitive person, I suggest you leave now. I'm not trying to hurt anybody's feelings. I have an extremely hot take on this, and I recognize that might upset some people. Marvels is fine. I don't know, man. I really don't have that much interesting to say about this one. It's not one of the worst Marvel movies ever, like those anti-woke YouTube channels are going to make you think, but it's not one that necessarily stands out in any way. It's a mid-tier Marvel movie like your Ant-Man and the Wasp or Black Widow. Ultimately, there's some stuff in here that's pretty fun. It's not a Love and Thunder, where I was questioning why I was even a Marvel fan by the end. First thing I can say positively is that the three leads have really good chemistry, and it's a good thing they do, because if they didn't, the entire movie would not work. I also really like the plot device of them switching with their powers. It was a simple but fun twist that lent itself well to little montages and fun action set pieces. I think when you have a character like Carol Danvers, who, let's just be honest, her power set is not the most interesting, you have to do something unique with it to make it interesting to watch. The switching places with other members of the Marvel family was a fun way to do it. I didn't have a problem with any of the three leads. I think they all played their parts perfectly well, but Iman Vellani definitely stole the show. She's a really good casting as Kamala Khan, and every time she was on screen, I was having fun because it seemed like she was having fun. There's some pretty lifeless and bland material in this movie, and she really elevates it much more than she should have any reason to. The worst part about this movie is the villain, who I completely forgot was the villain. I did not remember this character existed until I was writing this video and researching it, and I was like, oh right, there was a villain. The weird thing about this MCU movie is that it almost feels like there's another Captain Marvel movie between the first one and this one that we never saw. A lot of the plot revolves around stuff that Carol did as a result of what transpired in the first movie, but since the viewer never witnessed that, it kind of just feels like there's a disconnect there. It's clear that Marvel did not have faith in Captain Marvel to carry her own movie after the first one, which is why this got turned into an ensemble movie where she is just barely the main character. The other thing I did not really like about this movie was Nick Fury, and that's becoming a trend lately. After Secret Invasion did its best to assassinate the character, this movie just digs that grave even more. He's just kind of stupid. He doesn't really feel like Nick Fury anymore. He's not threatening, he's not smart, he doesn't know anything. This whole movie, he just has a sitcom plot where he chases around kitty cats with the Khan family the entire time. I think in a lot of ways, Marvel has kind of broken their world. There are so many superhumans and super organizations that nothing really feels that tangible or threatening. Remember in the first Avengers, how big and grand the helicarrier felt? And then when it was crashing, it took everything that the Avengers had to save it? In this movie, the space station almost blows up, but there's no tension. In fact, I kind of kept forgetting that there was any urgency, because Nick Fury and all the characters are just kind of stopping to talk for a minute here and there, and it's like, isn't the reactor or whatever gonna blow up? The station doesn't really feel like a real place, so why should I, the audience member, care? The MCU is full of made-up technology that doesn't exist that solves every problem. That makes a lot of sequences that could otherwise be tense and fun not tense, because some scientist character will just come out of nowhere and invent a magic doohickey that fixes whatever problem they're having. The villain in this movie says that she is going to steal the sun, and my reaction to that was like, okay, it'll probably be fine, I don't know. The last thing I kind of feel like really shot this movie in the foot a bit was giving Monica her powers in an anticlimactic scene in WandaVision. She should have just gotten them at the beginning of this movie. Her getting them in WandaVision has no impact on either that show or this movie. Considering the whole plot of this movie kicks off because Monica touches a weird energy source she's not supposed to, and it causes all the power switching, kind of makes me feel like maybe that should have just been what gives Monica her powers, and she should have been learning to use them throughout the rest of the movie, because she's now tied to Captain Marvel and Miss Marvel. She also has this whole arc in the movie about not wanting to be a superhero and kind of having a bit of a chip on her shoulder because Carol Danvers left her and she doesn't want a superhero name. And I think all of that stuff lends itself very well to if this movie was about Monica getting her powers and having a bit of a self-acceptance arc with becoming a hero at the end. What it ends up being is that we just get a couple scenes of an awkward explanation where Carol's like, hey, you have powers now. And Monica's like, oh yeah, I walked through a witch hex. I just don't think there's any reason that her getting powers should have happened in a Scarlet Witch project rather than a Captain Marvel project. And that's really all I got. Movie is fine. I will probably never watch or think about it ever again. But before I leave you, there is one spoilery thing that I desperately want to talk about. So if you don't want to be spoiled, click away now. Okay. Here's your warning. Here we go. Okay. So. What? Like, why? Of all the characters to tease us with, Kelsey Grammer's Beast. He looks so fucking weird too. When Monica got lost in another universe, I was like, yeah, it'll probably be the X-Men franchise or whatever, and we'll see Professor X, yada yada. I think I'm just immune to this type of post-credit scene now, too, because this does not get me hyped. Like, if it's ever brought up again that Monica met Kelsey Grammer Beast, it will never matter that much. It'll probably just be a written off line of dialogue, like, oh, remember that time you met Kelsey Grammer Beast? And she'd be like, yeah, that was crazy. I just don't have it in my brain to start jumping up and down in my seat because I saw Kelsey Grammer Beast. Call me a cynic. The hype will never die down when Marvel finally shows us Senator Robert Kelly again.